You probably remember the 3 R's from school. That's reading, writing, and arithmetic. This video is about the 3 R's for pacing, and that's rules, routines, and reminders. So we'll begin with rules. One way to look at the challenge of living well with CFS or fibro is to think about it as replacing one set of habits that made sense earlier in your life, with another set, one appropriate to your current situation. I talked about habit change in the previous video, and now I'd like to discuss one way to make this transition from one set of habits to a new set of habits, and that is by using personalized rules. Rules describe what you will do in a given situation. In effect, they are a response that you plan ahead of time so that when a situation arises, you can do something different than in the past, something appropriate to your new situation. Over time, the new behavior becomes a habit. You might use rules in 3 different ways to manage CFS or fibro. You could begin by stating a few key rules to help you control your symptoms. Let me put that down for you. Key rules. For example, one person in our program functioned about 20% of normal. By trying different levels of activity, she found that going outside of her limits in 3 areas was particularly damaging, so she began her self-management program by stating 3 rules for herself. No more than 3 trips outside the house per week, no driving more than 12 miles from home, and no phone conversations longer than 20 minutes. Over a period of years, she expanded her self-management program and improved significantly. The last time I checked in with her, she was about 45% of normal. Second, you may set rules covering a variety of different circumstances. So let me put that down as rules for specific situations. For example, you can establish rules for how long you stay on the computer, how long you talk on the phone, how much exercise you do, how far or how long you drive, when you go to bed at night and when you get up in the morning, when you rest during the day and for how long you spend in social situations. Another person followed this approach. Through trial and error, she defined her limits in detail, and then she focused her self-management program on rules for different parts of her life, such as rest, driving, time on the computer, time on the phone, and socializing. She improved from about 15% of normal or less to 35 or 40%. If you have a set of specific rules, as she did, you can manage your life by asking yourself 2 questions. What situation am I in right now, and what is my rule for this situation? Some people find it helpful to state their rules in an if-then structure. If, then. For example, if I've been on the computer for 20 minutes, then it's time to take a break. If it's 11 a.m., it's time for my morning rest. If it's 9 p.m., then it's time to turn off the computer and TV and start getting ready for bed. Third, you might develop a set of personal guidelines. Let me put that down. Personal guidelines. The idea with this approach is to have a few principles to guide your life with chronic illness. I came up with this idea one day when I felt very confused and I couldn't figure out what to do next. Bad brain fog. I said, I wish I had something simple written on a 3x5 card that I could look at right now. The result was my personal guidelines. My first guideline was, live within my energy envelope. This rule reflected my belief that I could reduce my symptoms and regain control of my life by living within my limits. For me, this involved taking 2 scheduled rests every day, keeping a daily health log, returning only gradually to my normal activity level after a relapse or illness, and avoiding stressful people and situations. My second guideline was extend the envelope gradually as allowed by my body. This rule recognized that improvement came slowly and not all attempts to expand my activity level would succeed. Using this rule, I limited my experiments to expand my activity by only 5 to 10% at a time, and I returned to my previous level if the experiment resulted in higher symptoms. My third rule was, when all else fails, go to bed. This guideline reflected my belief that there were times when the best course was to surrender to the illness. This guideline gave me permission to do the right thing for my body. Later, I added a fourth guideline: accept that I may not recover. This guideline resulted from the realization that while I might be able to create the conditions for recovery, I couldn't control whether I recovered. This helped me to focus on feeling better, which was under my control to a considerable degree. Second category we want to talk about is routines. Using routines is another powerful pacing strategy. Doing things in a regular and customary way reduces your energy expenditure because you're living by habit rather than continuously confronting new situations. Living your life in a predictable way can help reduce relapses because routine is less stressful than novelty and because it increases your chances for living within your limits. Here's what one person in our program said about routine. Developing a routine and sticking to it have been helpful because the familiarity reduces the number of surprises and lowers the attention that I have to spend on unexpected happenings. If I always wash my face after brushing my teeth, then when I'm done brushing my teeth, I don't have to think about what I'm going to do next." End quote. And another person wrote, "Up until 2 years ago, my life had little routine in it, and the result was frequent lengthy crashes. My life was one big roller coaster. Now I have a regular schedule, and I can plan much better. Routine may sound boring, but it's a must for me." And third, we're going to talk a little bit about reminders. Habit change can be facilitated by using reminders. For example, you can use a timer to limit the length of computer sessions, or post reminder notes on the refrigerator, a bathroom mirror, or your computer. Or you can use objects as reminders. On days when I plan to do my weightlifting routine, I often put one weight out where I can see it as a reminder. And I'll get out the bread pan on days that I'm going to be baking as a reminder. So there are 3 more pacing strategies, the 3 R's: rules, routines, and reminders.